Hello and welcome to the Invest in American podcast, episode 10. We're pretty fired up about that. Alexander, congratulations. I can't believe how fast that's happened. We just appreciate you guys being on the show today and taking time out. Please, for those that are watching for the first time, like this episode, subscribe, and please share with others as we're trying to grow the Invest in American brand by also hosting these podcasts and trying to inform agents and clients in different avenues of the industry. And today, Alexander and I are going to dive into recruiting and the importance of recruiting for your agency and what type of agent do you look for when recruiting. But before we do that, I know, Alex, we're recording this on a Sunday morning.
Yep.
And we're pretty fired up. What were you watching just now? What did you have on? Or you were trying to have on, actually?
Yeah, I was trying to watch the Scottish Open.
Yes.
The golf tournament, but they're not televised anymore, so I just had to listen to like a radio version.
So we didn't find out why they're not televising?
No updates. So.
And you seem pretty irritated.
Yeah.
I think as much as I would like to watch it, I'm not going to lie, I think Theory and I were a little entertained in the background watching you be frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you know what would be cool is to share, where was Rory right before we recorded here?
So they were tied heading into the 18th hole, and then he was getting ready to putt.
Yep.
They had to bring in a rules official or something, so we had to get the podcast started.
We had to get the podcast started. Oh, I love that. All right, good stuff. Well, then it was last year. Jeff was at the Open last year, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
He was at the he was at the Open.
Yeah, that's good. Same thing last year. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Alex, today I wanted to dive into talking about recruiting. And you and I have been on the recruiting talk a lot. How to recruit, who to recruit. And, this industry is definitely not for the weak. But when you think recruiting, and you think about the insurance business, let's start off there. Let's just kind of dive in to what your thoughts are, about when you think recruiting in our industry, what are some of the first things you think someone's got to be like,
Well, I don't think anyone has to be a certain way,
okay.
Because people, when they come in, they're so green, and they're just so fresh to the business, and you're going to have to train them. I mean, there's some people that you could recruit that was with another agency that they sold before, and they know what's going on, right? But for the newer people, you would have to, which is fine recruiting them, right? Take on anybody, right?
Yes, for sure.
You can train them, do it to teach them, the certain things, and give them tips and tricks and stuff, and then kind of tell them how it looks for their business,
Right. I think you're talking about, though, the fact that they're like a white canvas. They're just a clear whiteboard. You can just train somebody new, and just anything that they need to learn, and they're just like a sponge. Like it's teaching a new dog new tricks,
right.
And I think that's great, and I guess where I was going, and as we're having this conversation, it's like, let me just show you. I've done interviews now, working in the insurance business since 2009. I've been doing interviews. I started doing interviews, I want to say in like maybe late 2010 in the insurance business. And prior to that, when I was in franchising and marketing, I did interviews all the time when we needed people in different positions. I would tell you, though, in the insurance business, one of the things you'll hear me say a lot is you're always looking for somebody in the insurance business that's got a PhD.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, PhD, yeah, poor, hungry, and driven. If you can get a guy that's poor, hungry, and driven, you can get a gal that's poor, hungry, and driven, they'll do great things in this business. They've got to be motivated, they got to be goal-oriented. I think sometimes people miss that, being goal-oriented. So, when you think about that, think about the people you've worked with now in the last couple of years prior to where we worked together and now obviously starting our agency. What are some of the common things that you've seen as traits that people just naturally got to have, in your opinion?
All right. No, definitely what you said, goal-oriented.
Yep.
And then it comes back to your work ethic and how you go about that, because a guy like me, probably my first 6 months, back kind of when I was in school, I mean, I really didn't really want to work.
Sure.
Just getting caught up with school and stuff, but for the normal agent like right. I am now.
Wait, let's be clear though. When you say when you were in school, you're talking about high school,
mm-hmm.
right? High school. I just want to be clear. You don't work much in high school. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But the new recruit has to have kind of be open, to new things, because they're going to have to learn a lot. But you have to manage to stay goal oriented. So you got to pick up one thing at a time, just like you said, soak it in like a sponge.
Yep.
So if you're a new recruit and you're looking into the insurance space, just make sure that you're going to stay goal oriented, work hard, and do whatever it takes to win.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. There was a cool scene that was in what's the show called? Theory, you probably know the show. What's it called? The one that Sylvester Stallone's in, Tulsa King? Is it Tulsa King? In Tulsa King, the scene goes where Sylvester Stallone is talking, and he's talking about what value having a college degree has. And he talks about the fact how what it proves is that you, for 4 years, can go to school, perform certain activities, be tested on those activities, and move forward in progress. And in the 4 years, attain a goal you were trying to achieve.
Right.
You started here and you went to there. So all the time, like when we'd be recruiting, and now here at TIA, when we're recruiting, hey, do you want people that have college degrees that are just in marketing, or if they had a business degree, or if they have just general studies? Yes. Because any student that was able to go and finish and get a degree shows goal orientation, good mindset, have the right attitude. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, as you now, as a young man, you are building your career, you're building your life. You've got a lot of friends in the college scene. How does some of that dialogue look sometimes when you guys are talking and they're talking about what you're doing? How do they view what you're doing now versus what they're doing? Because I believe that their path is incredible too,
right.
finishing to get that degree, because that does have value.
Yeah, they're pretty pumped for me what I have going on. A lot of my successes and stuff, but I like I said on one of the earlier podcasts, I went back and forth, going to college or not, because I didn't want to miss out on things. But now that I look at it, I'm grateful for the position that I'm at. Sure. Because I know 2, 3, 4 years from now, I'm going to look back and be like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't go to college, because I'm at this point now in my life. You know? And like I said, I can still go down to, the college campuses or whatever and have fun with my friends here and there, and then come back to work. So I kind of, like I said earlier in one of the earlier podcasts again, I kind of get the best of both worlds. You do. You do. So, it's a good part.
Alex, I think that's a really, really mature thing to say, that you get the best of both worlds. I think it's great that you have awareness to that and you see that, because I think that is incredible. Mm-hmm. Because the natural instinct is that the grass is greener on the other side. And the grass is not greener on the other side. Well, okay. The grass is not greener on the other side. You know what I mean? So I think that's awesome to hear you say. I can appreciate that. Another thing I would say when we're recruiting is that you'll hear me say a lot. I'm sure most guys I've trained in recruiting have heard me say, look, if you could find a guy or a gal, but 27, 28 years old, married with 2 kids, that's a motivated person. If someone's in their late 20s, they've got 2 kids, they're married, man, they're just in the brink, right? They're feeling themselves. Yeah. Things are moving. That's a person that's motivated. That's a person you want on your team. That's a person you recruit, So, I don't know. I just think that's kind of funny, too, when you talk about it that way.
Yeah. When it comes to recruiting, right, what do you feel like is the biggest takeaway that you could find in a recruit that kind of stands out from the other recruits?
You know what? It's funny that you say that, because I was going to go into my next point and discuss what are maybe some of the core qualities an individual needs to have, But I would tell you, Alex, that the takeaway that I take in an interview when I'm meeting somebody would probably be, if I'm bought in, that they know what their wants are. They really like, and that's why every time I sit down, I do an interview with someone, I always say it's not really even an interview, it's like a strategy session. Because it's my opportunity to meet you, your opportunity to meet me. And I get to see what path you are looking to go, and how do I, Ali Saleh, or how we, TIA, get to fit in that mold with you to achieve your goal. And that's why sometimes an interview is not an interview. It's a strategy session. It's a
if they're bought in, if they want to do it.
Yeah. Just to go through that process, because it takes a lot of stuff. It takes changing patterns in your life. It takes changing how you do things. Right now, Well, I guess, we've joked about it for weeks, but you're working out. Yeah, working out's not your problem. You work out. You'll work out. That's not your issue. But I know you've had your own goals about you trying to work out in the morning, do this, that, and the other. But that's changing things.
Right.
It makes you uncomfortable.
And I feel like the beginning agent, when they're looking at the scheme of things, when they're coming on, I think that they think it's going to be easier than they think it is.
Yeah.
And I think in the industry, it's not. I would say the beginning part is the hardest, right? I think people say once you make your first 100K, then you're kind of out.
Okay.
You know what it takes, right?
Yeah,
so in
sure.
the beginning stages, it's probably the toughest, and then once you get rid of or get out of those beginning stages, then you're kind of smooth sailing.
That's right. Well, I love to hear you say that because it's true, right? When I know when this comes out, we would have already been at 8%, and probably we're a couple weeks ahead. I hope we're trying to stay in the pipeline here with our podcasts. One of the things I'm talking about in a training room at 8% is going to be, again, this will be coming out afterwards, how I made $100,000 in 6 months. Okay, and what's critical about that, and one of the things I talk about in the training, okay, is that I'm showing you how to make $100,000 in 6 months so you never do that again. Because the moment you do something, when you go to do that same thing, somewhere in the process you become more efficient. And the more efficient you become, the more you can do that exercise more times. Does that make sense? Quick example, and I'll give it up to you here. Making a pizza. When someone goes and gets a job at a pizza place, they teach them how to make a pizza,
right.
And then they time them because there's a certain amount of time how long it should take to make a pizza. If the time is less than 2 minutes to get it from all set up to get it in the oven, if it's less than 2 minutes but the newbie's taken 4, how does the newbie get better at getting more efficient? They got to make more pizzas, right?
It's like making more dials, or
Perfect.
making more door knocks, It just all comes back to the business and what it takes to, be great at this in the future.
Yep.
Right? Just the training, learning, taking it all in, and then going out and putting the work, with it.
Yeah. You're talking about being consistent with every part of the business. That's also not fun.
For the new recruit in the beginning.
It's uncomfortable. I think those are the things that you're talking about there that I think are critical. There's a couple new studs that have just come on board with the Invested American, and we'll talk more about them in future episodes. But, in talking to both of these guys, right, brand new agents, they're both licensed. They've worked with other organizations. And, other organizations, again, it's not even anything good, bad, and different. I think it's about a vibe. It's about the group of people that you work with. And I think most that work with us at TIA kind of get a good vibe, get a good energy, that we try to always look to do things right, always work with people in the best intentions, try to always, perform at our best ability, and no one's perfect. Right. But, talking to these guys, I felt like what they wanted in both those cases, in the calls I did yesterday, is security. They want confidence that they're going to get the support they need. Right. And one of the things I always remind a new recruit is what also the expectations we need from them. Because there's a heavy load on the new person. Right. And sometimes I think people recruit and they try to make it sound like it's going to be so easy just to get the people in.
Right. So when like a new agent comes on from another organization,
sure.
They may not have been getting what they were looking for, like leads, training. They may have had questions that they weren't getting answered, so then they start looking around. And there was some of those guys that we were able to recruit on, and we were telling them, we're going to give you guys certain amounts of training to help you guys out and answer any questions you may have. We're always here to help service the new recruits and see what we can do to help them and, train them and kind of set them off so they can do things, on their own. And if they have any questions, they can ask us.
Yep. What you're talking about is we train brand new agents so we can duplicate them.
Right.
So then we can send them out to do well. It's funny because that's part of a conversation we have here at the agencies. How much classroom training should somebody have versus how much field training? And then what real field training do they get versus what they get in the office? And I've always been a believer ever since I got started. I think that you should give someone just a bit of training in-house because they get a massive amount of training out of the office. And the way that I envision that always looks like, and the way you should implement the plan, and this is what we do with our recruits that are local, is we literally will have, when you come on board, you get some training, but you're going to get most of your training in the field, because when you're out setting appointments and you're out meeting people, what's going to happen? Things are going to happen. You're going to sell this policy versus that. You'll be out with the trainer that's training, developing you, teaching you, showing you what goes on and how it happens, right? So then when you get back in the car, and I'm sure, Alex, you were out with Itzel yesterday, right? And you guys were out, and you guys did a great job kicking some butt, so congratulations. Helping some people too. It's just always exciting, and I'm proud of you.
Right. Thank you.
So it's just like you and Itzel when you guys were out yesterday, okay? You guys were out, you're showing her, you're role modeling. You're giving her also confidence. But then I'm sure you guys sold, for example, United National Life Policy or something, and you might have got in the car and she might say, hey, Alex, why did you sell Plan B versus not Plan C? Or why did you sell Part? And then that leads to a conversation, right?
Yeah, and then I'll explain to her the whole situation, why, you know, the client was in this situation, so I made sure that I did that for the client, right?
Right.
It just depends what situation they're in, and then I can help fill the gap that they may have. When we were finishing up yesterday, one thing that Itzel had mentioned was that I give the client a lot of reassurance.
Perfect.
And
I love that.
when I'm talking with the client, they may ask me questions, you know, so if I go to this Plan G, Alex, is it the same Plan G as this one?
Sure.
Yes, it is. There's no change of benefit. All you're going to still have is that 1 year deductible, right?
Absolutely.
And I continue to just repeat it over and over and over again, just like what you say, right? So the client knows, okay, he knows what he's talking about, and he's telling me this over and over and over again, so I don't have any concern at all. Right. So I continue to reassure the client, and that helps me have the opportunity to go ahead and protect them.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, I love it. I love it. You know, the recruiting mindset is a training mindset. You know, because it's so in history, and we've all heard it a million times. You know, people recruit, organizations recruit, and they're trying to recruit to do what? Just see what sticks up against the wall. You got to spend time with people, establish relationships when you're working with them. You know, and people are going to they're going to learn their new behavior is going to be this space of living uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's what's got to happen. So when you're recruiting, you got to find people that are willing to challenge themselves, make themselves. You know, there's a notion that, you know, you just work from 9 to 5, you know, and you don't work Saturdays or Sundays. Mm-hmm. Well, yesterday we had an office full of agents here. We had agents that were out selling. Saturday, we're all getting excited about the trip next week. We're all going to 8%, which we're stoked about. And I know we've already been past it, but I'm stoked. And probably we've got 19 people on our team going to 8%. Mm-hmm. And I'm just proud of that. Yeah. We got agents from all over the country that are going too. So that's pretty cool. So Alexander, you know what? You know, as we're wrapping up the show, and I know we could discuss so much more about this, and I'll just kind of do a quick summary at the end. What are the last points? What is that you want to make? You know, there are people out there that we're trying to recruit and help out. What are some last points you want to share with them? At the same time, if there's someone kind of on the fence of what they want to do.
Right. You know? If you're looking at this job or that job or the insurance industry job, I think it would be a great job to try out, especially here at the Invested American, because we give loads of training and tips and tricks that we can help excel your business and the dreams and the things that you want to achieve in the business. So definitely you can contact us here, and we would love to help and take your business to places it's ever been before.
Alexander, if someone wants to call you direct and talk to you, what's your number?
918-982-3810.
And your email address is?
My email is alexander@theinvestedamerican.com.
Perfect. And you can reach out to me as well, direct on my number at 918-513-2797. And you can find me at ali@theinvestedamerican.com. You know, today's show, if there's the takeaway, Alexander, that I could say that I'd like to wrap up with is this. If you're out and you're out in the business and you're trying to recruit some quality agents to help build your agency, build your organization, or whatever it is that you've got going on, you know, it's not a joke about poor, hungry, and driven. The themes of who you're looking for are the same. You're looking for someone that is eager and excited. Man or woman doesn't really matter. You're looking for someone that's goal-oriented. You know, if you could find someone that's already accomplished goals, either if it was going to school or if it was in a prior career or a different organization. Having a mindset, having the right attitude. We talked about it in the 6 pillars on the Ali Saleh Obsessed with Your Success program. Just powerful, powerful stuff. We at the Invest in American love to talk to agents or people considering the organization, right, Alex? And we'd love you to plug in with us. We want to thank everyone that plugged in today and helping us celebrate episode 10, which is crazy that we've already gotten here, and time is just moving. I'm just grateful, Alex, to be doing this with you. Theory, you do an exceptional job, and we're so grateful for you and your support, and the guests we've already had and the guests we're going to have. And for all you, the subscribers, the viewers, please, I just want to say thank you over and over again from all of us here at TIA for your subscription, your continued fellowship and loyalty, and the sharing of our content. God bless, and we'll talk soon.